Hi, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to revisit one of my most popular or the most popular video that I have out there in YouTube land. And many of you found my channel because of this video. It was made about a year ago and it's how to use the water brush. And it told the story of how I began or how I was introduced to the water brush. And then I showed you how I use it. I still absolutely love the Pentel Large Water Brush and is my go-to water brush when I travel, and I still use it for almost everything that I do when I'm working in my lap and not in studio form. So I want to tell you how much I appreciate those of you who are watching. If you have just found me, thank you for tuning in. 98.2% of you have not subscribed, so I know that you're finding me for the first time through this this video, and it just instills in me the joy of sharing, because if another artist hadn't shared with me this water brush and how it's changed my life and how I paint more frequently and how I teach classes with it, and now finding you on YouTube and hopefully helping you in your art journey is just a pay it forward kind of thing. So thank you, and I hope that what I share with you and compare what I did a year ago, the palette that I used a year ago versus what my favorite palette is now. And the water brush has not changed, but I want to update you on my favorite palette. Stay with me. I'm going to show you the pros and cons of both and what you might want to consider. The exact palette that I used in that previous video was this one, but I've altered it a little bit since then. I do have my palette key on there, but I added 6 professional colors because I was testing to see, well, what is really the difference? I was still hesitant to spend the money on the professional colors, and I wanted to see, well, is it really worth it? And when I compared the colors of the professional colors with the colors that are in this about $20 student grade koi, it's the Pocket Field Sketch Box by Secura Color Products Corporation Koi watercolors. This was the very first one I used, and because it had so many colors already mixed for me, it made my beginning with painting probably easier. But I want to tell you the pros of this palette. This is what I began with, minus these. So just ignore those for now because they don't come with it. I think the palette is now currently on sale for approximately $22. Sometimes, I think I've seen it retail for about $45. It came with a brush that had a stopper, and if I was still using that same brush, it would be, but the joy of this, I can use my favorite brush, which is a Pentel Large. I can use that same stopper and the water won't come out, and I can store that like this. I took the sponges out because I never really used them, and now I can put other things in here. So advantage, it comes with a stopper. The brush that comes with it, and I put it here so you don't want to lose the stopper. The brush that comes with it works fine, but it screws on backwards, so note that it's not defective. But another thing that's really good about this palette is you get a lot of mixing space. Let me zoom out a little bit. So see all this mixing space, and then this can be held there. You can move it can be here, it can be here, and held securely. And that is if, see on the back, flip on the back, I have a thumb ring. So, or I can put my hand through it. Sorry, one of my added ones fell out. Okay, so if I was painting without a table, I could hold all of this easily in my lap and have multiple mixing surfaces. That does not give me a hand to hold my artwork. So when I'm painting outside, I often put this on a table, put this in it, and then I held what I was painting in my hand. When I travel light, I take a small journal. This is 3.5 by 5, I believe. And I just like to keep it with me so that it's within reach, and I can paint about things that I see and places that I go. I can add stickers if I want, and I go back and add paintings behind those. I'm currently doing a draw and paint daily. challenge in April, and these are some of the ones that I've done for that. But if I was painting this on site, I would hold this and paint this way. I would clip my paper towel here so that it wouldn't blow away in the wind. And this can balance in my lap. So I did make it work, but I want to show you in a minute what I prefer now. The disadvantage for this set is the weight compared to what I do now. Is also, if you are not familiar with the color wheel, if you don't know how to tone down some colors or make some of these greens a more muted green, there's sometimes when you paint straight out of the paint in their containers, they're not natural colors that would be found quite as natural as you'd see in nature. If you don't know your color wheel, this is a good place to start because you have colors to work from. Traditional watercolor does not have white. And this is helpful at times when, like if you want to make a nice pink, you can add white to this color right here and it makes a nice pink. So not knowing anything about color theory and you just want to get a introduction to painting, go for it. This is a great way to learn. It's less expensive, and for less than $50, you can get all the supplies you need: a water brush, a pen, a thin pen with 005, and paper towels that you probably already have or something to absorb water with. That's all you need to get started. Now, I would suggest watercolor paper because it doesn't warp when it's wet as much, but if you really want to keep it economical, go get heavy-duty, heavyweight index cards and start with that, because the more you play with it and you're not concerned about the exact product, the more you'll learn how the watercolors work, and I think you'll enjoy the process. Okay, so the advantage is mixing space, place to hold your brush, a stopper that I almost lost. Okay, so I'm going to put this here, put this in, close it, flip that, and put that away. This weighs 3.9192 ounces. Okay, now my favorite paint right now is these small tins that I've made my own palettes with professional grade watercolor. This was the first palette that I made. If I go to Daniel Smith website or Amazon, they sell these 3 colors as a primary set, and that's what I started with. Plus I wanted burnt sienna with it, and that's a Winsor Newton burnt sienna. But the reason why I wanted these 3 is you can make so many colors when you have the primary. And if I want to travel light, this is my go-to primary palette, and I'll list the colors in the description for you. But what do I mix in? This is my mixing tray. Ooh, wow, that's not very big. That doesn't have dividers. What's going to happen? Well, you learn how to work with that. And here's my convenience colors that I can't mix from these. So they are quinacridone gold, quinacridone magenta, peacock blue, dioxazine purple. And most of these are QOR from Golden, I believe is the company that sponsors the QOR. Anyway, I'll put it in the link. But I know how to mix colors, and I can make almost any color I want when I have these 8. This is my kneading eraser. I love to have a kneading eraser to erase the pencil lines from the work that I do, and you clean it by kneading it and stretching it. This is probably maybe 1/5 of, maybe 1/4 of a kneading eraser. You buy them and they're rectangles, and you just, if you don't know how to clean them, you stretch them, and they're kind of fun to play with. When I had students with kneading erasers, they would want to take them out of the room and they would disappear. But anyway, that was another lifetime. When I made these, I purchased what's called a half pan. The half pan is small. I use a tiny tip Sharpie French Ultramarine DS for Daniel Smith. I glue a magnet on the bottom, and some of these half pans, You can purchase them with magnets that you can stick on. The sticky doesn't always stay, so sometimes I get E6000. It's a epoxy glue, and it'll help glue it down. So, but with the magnets, they don't easily fall out. Now, well, they're not falling out bad at all. Sometimes some magnets don't hold as well as others, but hey, okay, I'm happy with that. So my go-to kit now contains these paints instead of the other. Now I also add magnetic clips with these, and I'll show you why in a minute. The weight compared to the other 2.94 ounces compared to 9.49 ounces. Okay, so I'm saving some ounces there. I'll let you do the math. But how do I hold my work, and what do I do with these? Well, this is how I set it up. I have my journal. I have a freezer paper like this that I fold with the slick side out, so that protects the page I'm not going to paint on. I clip a few pages together. If I can go the whole width, oh, it'll work. I'll go the whole width. Okay, sorry. The whole width of my journal. That clamps that down, holds it firm. Then these stay there. I get a clip that's a binder clip. I know that there's a lot of them that are black, but I really like a colored one. So if I accidentally drop it outside, it's easier to find than a black one. And I clip that to the freezer paper through several sheets of paper. And then I get a folded paper towel. I've tried a variety of things to clean my brush with, but I really like the folded paper towel because when I clean my brush, I can tell if it's really clean or not. Also, I do like to have a index card. This is one that's a little larger than I need, so I'll fold that in half. And I can tuck that up under here for a test sheet. So now I can hold all of this in my hand. I have my paint that I paint with. So I can, if I want to mix a color, say I want a green, I get the yellow wet. I squeeze a little yellow in the lid, wipe it off. I'm not squeezing. I wipe it off. Now my brush is clean. There might be a stain on the end, but now I want to make a green. So I know this is blue. I can make a little green over here. I drag a little of that yellow in, and I make a little green and more of a yellow. My yellow is not exactly clean. If I want to make a different green, this is a blue-green, peacock blue, and I can make a different green. If I want to tone that green down, I add something opposite to it. Tone that down. If I want a really bright spring green, I can get that. If I want it brighter than that, more yellower than that, I can add more yellow to that mixture. I can add this gamboge, which is a different type of yellow, to that mixture. And you see, when I learn to mix my colors, just in that short amount of time and in that little bitty space, I've made a variety of greens. When I don't need that anymore, I can either wipe off that part or let it dry and reuse it later. I can dry that part out, clean it out, or I can clean the whole thing out. And I can make other colors. This is a different yellow. It looks really dirty, but it creates this lovely glow in the background. And again, it's just so fun to be able to play with this and be free to create mixtures and your own colors from just this amount. And the fact that I can hold it all in one hand, I don't need a table. I have to be familiar with my color wheel. I have to practice painting with these, and I have several videos that some of them are just a pure, what I consider my extreme limited palette, and some are with this extended limited palette. But when you only have 8 colors, you're thinking, I'm not going to be able to do that. But when you get to play with it and get used to it, this is so freeing. I want to show you what else is in my kit, and then you can consider making one of your own. Also, if any of this sounds interesting to you, I am going to be teaching a workshop in North Carolina at Wild Acres Retreat Center this summer in July. I'll include a link to where you can get some more information and register if you want. I would love to have some of my YouTube friends follow me there. So what I have to have is my 2 paints. Oh, before you close up this, make sure that you get rid of any of the puddles. You either let it dry or you soak up the puddles, because you don't want that liquid falling into your other. So those 2, I love that retirement. Isn't that funny? I retired 11 years ago. Oh, can't believe it's almost 11 full years. Doesn't seem possible. Whatever size of journal you want. This is the one that again, the size that I carry with me the majority of the time, just because it's always handy. And then if you want a larger one, then that you'll have more weight, but that's your choice. But the other things that I want to carry, that I have with me almost all the time, is at least one of the 005 micron pens. I have 2 because they're both used and I'm not sure when one's going to die. And if I'm traveling, I don't want to be without. Looks like in this kit I have 3 of these. This is a Uniball I Micro. This is a Uniball I Fine, waterproof. And they're both waterproof, but I happen to have 2 micros in there and 1 fine, which is fine. How about that? I usually carry at least 2 water brushes, sometimes just because there occasionally one will get stopped up. That's so rare. I've had these for years, and but most often it's because I'm sharing what I'm doing and I'd like somebody to paint along with me, which I find quite fun. This is my favorite white pen. It's a Uniball Signo, and it gives me a nice white, let's see, I'll show you where I've used it. Okay, so Apalachicola. I wrote the Apalachicola in the white pen. So, and I helped Flo's whiskers for the white. So, it's nice to have. This is my pipette. This is how I easily fill my water brush. It's so much easier because than having a water bottle. I usually always carry a water bottle with me because it's good to have water to stay hydrated. And I just dip this in, suck up the water, and put the water in my brush. And I can paint several paintings with one load of the brush. If you go through a lot of water and you squeeze your brush too much, then your paper towels are going to get really wet soon, and you'll go through a lot. You'll have to wait a lot longer for your paintings to dry. This was a small atomizer spritzer that I found online. I think it came with 3 in a pack, but I love the size of it and the fact that I can spritz my Elegant Writer, which is this one right here. The Elegant Writer is the one that I get this effect with. When I spritz it, it just feathers out and just creates this really unique look. So that's one of my go-to pens because sometimes I just want to play with that. I have some kind of measuring, and this just happens to be a protractor that I probably had when I taught school. But it has a straight edge. If I want to have a nice rounded curve, I can do that. Or if I can check the angle if I want to. I use a mechanical pencil because it always has a point. Shake and make sure you have extra lead in it. And I throw in a random old brush. I use this to flick paint with when I want to splatter. I really should get one that has holds a little more water, but this right now works. I have my 2 paints palettes. One's the traditional limited, and then my convenience colors. I have a happy, doesn't have to be happy, but you know, anything that makes you smile. Binder clip. This is how I carry my tape. I use it to form borders of paintings like this. Both of these I taped around before I painted. And when you're on the go, you don't want to carry that big roll of tape. So you just take, excuse me, a business card or a used gift card and wrap around with the painter's tape. I have some that I have masking tape on one side, painter's tape on another, and you just pull off what you need, use it. If you don't need what you've unwrapped, then wrap it back and lay it down just like you would in a roll, and then that easily fits there. This is a safety compass, and I had these when I taught art in middle school, and my students absolutely loved them. And it fits so nicely in this, but it draws circles so much easier than a traditional compass. And I used it when I was arranging the circles, I guess, on this page. So it does a variety, and it allows you to draw circles very easily. So I'll show you how it works. 3 ways to draw a circle with this tool. One is, here's you already have circles. It's just like a stencil. You just hold it still. Circles. Then you hold the arm still, and you have these dots that are actually little holes. When you put your pencil in, it spins around, giving you concentric circles really easily. Now, what if I want a bigger circle? Well, the easiest thing to do on that is put a dot to start off with. Oh, looks like I put 2 dots there. Let me just try that again. Put a dot. That dot right there. That way, if you slip, you know where to go back. You see that dot in the center of the brass ring, and you put your finger on it. Now, there's a disadvantage here because I have the spirals, but I'll show you how it works. Okay? This arm spins around. So, if I want a large circle, way out here, if I have a big sheet of paper, this would do a 10-inch circle. Then you pick another hole, you do another one, pick another hole, you do another one, and you just lift your hand up to get it out of the way as you work around. But it's so nice to have this if I want circles. And my pen goes in there, my journal, and I usually put my journal in a Ziploc bag just so that it stays clean. Then this is my kit, 14.2 ounces, and I can paint lots of paintings with just what I have here. So I carry this in my purse. I keep it with me all the time. I have no excuse not to create. If any of this is helpful, beneficial for you, please give me a thumbs up. Join me on this journey. We're going to be doing a lot of journaling and working with watercolor, some with gouache. Occasionally I'll get out my oils and pastels, but right now I'm on a journey traveling light, and I hope you'll join me. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next week.